When two combatants fight, it's apparent in the first few exchanges who is superior. Whether it's due to vaster experience, more refined techniques, or just an overwhelming difference in physical abilities, one fighter will gain the upper hand. It's incredibly difficult to close that gap and come back in the fight. But what if you had a one-hit killer move that was unique only to you? A move that could turn the tables around in an instant. A move that was the ultimate equalizer. These kinds of techniques are far in between. But if someone was lucky enough to have one of these moves, then they would have the potential to defeat any opponent. What's up, Bakas? It's your boy Natty Light, and welcome back to another part of my Kengan Ashura series. Today, I'll be going over the Superman, Nakata Ichiro. I'll be going over his backstory, his appearance, personality, and of course, his fighting style. But before we get into any of that, I'm going to warn you guys that there are going to be major spoilers regarding the Kengan Ashura manga. I'm going to be explaining as much about Ichiro as possible, which means that I'll be talking about crucial plot points in the story. Now that you've been warned, let's jump right into the video. At the time of the Kengan tournament, Ichiro stood at 6'2" and weighed in at 225 pounds. Like most of the other Kengan fighters, Ichiro is a well-built individual with bulging muscles and a shredded core. He has long blonde shaggy hair that is cut similar to a mullet. He often walks around with one of two faces. He is either smiling with his eyes wide open, brimming with confidence, or he has a clueless expression that signifies how oblivious he is. In his initial design, Ichiro's hair was longer and had more volume. The author said that originally, Ichiro had a more carnivorous feel and was supposed to be more handsome. In the 2 years after the tournament, Ichiro has grown in size and has added around 15 pounds of muscle. He had also grown out his facial hair, but decided to quickly shave it once he returned to Japan. While in combat, Ichiro can be seen wearing his signature spotted shorts that has his name on them. However, in the anime, Ichiro fought in a pair of plain red shorts instead. Ichiro's personality can best be described as loud, arrogant, and full of life. He has a fascination with superheroes and even considers himself to be one. This is what led him to develop his own self-proclaimed nickname, Rihito. When translated, the name means to surpass human reason. Now I know some translations do call him Rihito, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to refer to him as Rihito moving forward. When Rihito was first introduced, he showed little regard for human life. This is seen when he casually dealt a lethal injury to his partner Ivan. However, after his defeat to Ohma, Rihito is portrayed as a more friendly and lighthearted character. He's still confident in his abilities, but he's also able to admit that he still has much to learn. Rihito also has a penchant for hitting on any attractive woman he sees, and his idiocy is what usually gets him and the other members of the 4 idiots in trouble. There are 2 more major parts of Rihito's personality. First is how much he values his friends. In contrast to what he did to Ivan, Rihito has shown many times that he cares for those he likes. After Sawada got severely hurt by Julius, Rihito promised him that he'll win the tournament and get revenge. He also passionately cheers for Ohma to win his matches whenever he can. The second major part of his personality is his desire to be strong. After his losses to both Ohma and Kuroki, Rihito has fully dedicated himself to be the strongest version that he can be. He chose to leave Japan to train diligently every day with the Beard God in order to live up to his potential. As a young child, Rihito began developing his freakishly strong pinch strength, which would eventually earn him his superhuman moniker. At 11 years old, Rihito displayed his first superhuman feat by tearing a 500 yen coin straight down the middle. It's safe to assume that shortly after awakening his remarkable ability, Rihito began his life of fighting. This is because, by the time Rihito was a teenager, he had gained notoriety as one of the strongest fighters from Bakada High School. It was also around this time that he met Sawada Kezaburo, another future Kengan fighter. Sawada was the best fighter from another high school, and he and Rihito hated each other from the moment they met. The two fought instantly and have had a heated rivalry ever since. It's later revealed in a side story that the rest of the 4 idiots were all coincidentally there to witness the fight. Okubo was watching intently because he loved watching fights, and Himaru and Kanaida were on their way to their different schools. Before his battle with Ohma, Rihito was a popular newcomer in the Kengan fights who amassed a 5-0 record and earned the nickname Rihito The Ripper. Rihito made his first appearance in the Kengan Ashura manga in Chapter 3. He and renowned kickboxer Ivan Kurev had paid a visit to Ohma before their scheduled Kengan match. Rihito said that he was only there for introductions, but it was obvious that he wanted to crush Ohma before the match. After Ivan was defeated by Ohma, Rihito actually inflicted even more injuries onto his partner by slashing his arteries. Rihito said that he just hated the sight of losers who put up resistance. He eventually leaves Ohma, but not before warning him that his next match will be his retirement match. On the day of their fight, Rihito is seen next to his employer, Yoshitaka Yashiro, while also having 2 women dangling from his arms. He uses this chance to throw some last-minute insults at Ohma. Yamashita said that this fight was going to be between 2 alpha males. Their fight starts off with neither fighter moving. This was because the 2 were in a deadlock analyzing each other's movements. 32 seconds into the match, the 2 fighters simultaneously charged at each other. In their first few exchanges, Rihito showed that he was a natural in both offense and defense. However, it's clear that in a slugfest, Ohma has the advantage by far. As Rihito throws a leg kick, the Ashura dodges it by jumping and then throws a leg kick of his own straight onto Rihito's chin. This knocks Rihito down and leads to Ohma mounting his opponent. While it seemed as though Ohma was about to end the fight with his lethal blows from the top, Rihito pulled out his secret weapon. All of a sudden, Ohma was pushed off from his opponent and both his arm and chest were gushing blood. Rihito had revealed his deadly razor edge. As the fight progressed, whether Rihito was on offense or defense, his opponent was getting cut up. After boasting about his natural talents to Ohma, the Ashura declared that he had seen enough. Ohma said he had figured out Rihito's flaw as soon as he saw his razor edge. Ohma then casually walked up to Rihito to engage in close-quarter combat. As Rihito went in for the kill, Ohma easily stopped both of his attacking arms. After disabling Rihito's arms, Ohma unleashed his devastating Niko style. With this, the match was decided. Every time Rihito initiated an attack, his power was redirected back at him. The fight ends with Ohma toppling Rihito over himself and then stomping the superhuman's face into the hard concrete. After witnessing his loss, Rihito's employer was quick to fire him. Rihito next appears on the SS Kengan. Both he and Ohma take part in the preliminary battle to decide who gets to be part of the last 5 participants who join the tournament. Of course, he approaches Ohma with a hostile aura about him, but Rihito's mood quickly changes after he notices Miss Akiyama. He says that he would protect her and that he and Ohma will form the unstoppable duo. Ohma quickly recognizes that Rihito had become much stronger after the Ripper easily defeated another combatant. It's also during the prelims that Rihito runs into Sawada once again. The 2 fought to a stalemate until the preliminaries were declared over and that both of them passed. Rihito is later seen following Ohma and the Nogi team around the ship. It's here that he reveals that Nogi had actually appointed him to be the president of SF Cold Storage and that he's the first president fighter in Kengan history. But Rihito was oblivious to the fact that he had been tricked and that Nogi was just using him as another pawn. Rihito spends most of his time on the ship hitting on any attractive female he sees and forcibly hanging out with Ohma. He continues these antics once they reach the island, where he also befriends Okubo Naoya since they share a similar interest in chasing girls. Since he's also the president of his own company, Rihito was also invited to the meeting to determine the tournament brackets. It's here that Rihito finds out that if Nogi doesn't win, then he will lose everything he owns as well. I also want to note here that there's a side story where we see a little bit of Rihito acting as president. We see him run into former fighters Kamada and Ivan at a restaurant. Despite almost killing Ivan, Rihito offered the two fighters jobs at SF Cold Storage and even appointed them as vice presidents. This just shows Rihito's good nature and how quickly he is to move forward from the past. After a night of hard drinking, Ivan woke up to the sound of Rihito diligently training. When Ivan asked why Rihito wanted to enter the tournament, Rihito simply said that he couldn't stand the idea of someone being stronger than him. The simple reason shocked Ivan and made him realize how truly special Rihito was. During the first round of the tournament, we get a quick scene of Rihito taking a bathroom break. He says that he better hurry up and get back to Okubo, Kanaida, and Himaru, signifying that the four idiots had already befriended each other by this point. It's also here that Rihito runs into the infamous Kure Ryan. The assassin told Rihito that this tournament had no room for weaklings like him, which quickly led to the two fighting. The next time we see Rihito is during the aftermath of their fight. We see the bathroom utterly destroyed with an angry Rihito all bloodied up. Later on, Rihito decided to visit Sawada in the infirmary after the latter got brutally injured by Julius. Sawada greets him with his usual attitude, saying that he wants no sympathy from Rihito. But much to Sawada's surprise, Rihito makes a sincere promise to win the tournament and to get revenge for his rival. Rihito has his first fight in the 11th match of the first round. His opponent was the lethal assassin, Kuroki Gensai. Before the fight officially starts, Rihito slashes Kuroki's gi because the assassin was ignoring Rihito's taunts and even let out a sigh of dissatisfaction. When the fight begins, Rihito immediately lunges forward towards Kuroki. Then the next thing he knew, Rihito's vision did a complete 360 and he was on his butt. Rihito jumps up as fast as he could but was immediately put down again. Within the first few moments of the fight, Kuroki revealed that he could have already killed Rihito 4 times. Okubo, who was watching from the sidelines, said that his senses were tingling like crazy. He said that unfortunately for Rihito, he'll never be able to defeat Kuroki. Fed up with being disrespected by everyone, Rihito lunges forward once again. However, this time, he was able to land his infamous Razor Edge, much to Kuroki's surprise. Now after being injured, Kuroki formally accepted Rihito's challenge and finally took up a fighting stance. Rihito charged at Kuroki once again, but this time his attacks were getting closer and closer. He said that he started to memorize Kuroki's movements and that he just needed one clean hit. But as Rihito was about to go in for his finishing attack, he was impaled by Kuroki's Devil Lance. Kuroki revealed that he was just appeasing Rihito by playing on the superhuman's terms. The karate master insulted Rihito by saying that he was too weak to realize their difference in power and then proceeded to kick his opponent away. Kuroki then decided that it was time to end things and then charged at Rihito with all of his might. Through Rihito's point of view, we see that everything has gone quiet for him. He said they could see Kuroki moving clearly. He realized that it felt like time had stopped moving because he was in such a dire situation. He also thought to himself that this would be an awesome moment for the superhero to make a surprising comeback. Rihito lets out a cry and attacks with one more Razor Edge. The next thing we see is Rihito's vision going completely black. When he next opens his eyes, he finds himself all bandaged up with Okubo sitting beside him. The MMA fighter revealed that Rihito lost despite his valiant effort. Rihito immediately jumped off of his bed and laughed off his defeat. He said that it is what it is and left to go find some girls. But when he left the room, Okubo called him out for being a bad liar. We then see Rihito walking in the dark hallway, reminiscing on all of the training he did and the promises he made. While in the hallway by himself, Rihito broke down in tears as he reflected on his defeat. Rihito disappeared for the rest of the first round and even missed both Kanaida's and Okubo's matches. He is next seen after Kuroki's match with Setsuna. After the Beer God's victory, Rihito rushed into the arena and took it upon himself to make the assassin his master. Kuroki told him that it does not take students, but that Rihito is free to watch his matches in order to gain experience. During Kasumasa's rebellion, Rihito can be seen fighting against the Guardians alongside his new master, Kuroki. Then later on, during Kuroki's match against Mikazuchi Rei, Rihito came down from the VIP room to cheer for his master up close. Before heading out for his fight, Kuroki told Rihito that despite being the same age, Rei is on a whole nother level than his pupil. But whether or not that will be the case in a year from now is entirely up to Rihito. Rihito spends the rest of the tournament cheering on both Ohma and Kuroki. He's last seen in the Kengan Ashura manga doing intense training with Kuroki near a waterfall. Rihito has also made an appearance in the sequel, Kengan Omega. After returning from his 2-year training session with Kuroki, Rihito is immediately thrown into a fight with Mokichi Robinson. After defeating the priest, Rihito earned himself a spot in the upcoming tournament against Purgatory. Now onto his powers and abilities. From his first fight with Ohma, Rihito was already described as a well-rounded striker who can do both offense and defense. However, after training with Kuroki, Yamashita notes that Rihito's stance has become a lot more orthodox. He used to take a wild stance and rely on his natural gifts, but since his training, he has now adopted a more compact fighting style that relies on technique. Kuroki said himself that now no one would be able to easily defeat Rihito. But the most distinct part of Rihito's fighting style has got to be his signature Razor Edge. It's a move unique only to Rihito that he's able to perform due to his immense pinching strength. By pinching his opponent's skin, he's able to cut off their flesh as if he was holding a knife. This is what earned him the nickname, the Ripper. Rihito says that his pinch strength is so strong that he's able to easily tear through a suit of armor. It's thanks to this unique move that Rihito technically has a chance against anyone. Even if the opponent far classes him in every category, as long as he can land this deadly move, then Rihito can pull off a come from behind victory. Alright guys, so that was my video on Nakata Ichiro, also known as Rihito the Ripper. Making this video really made me appreciate Rihito's character development. I feel as though the author messed up by making him so cold-blooded in his initial appearance. But ever since then, he's done whatever he could to portray Rihito as a caring friend who will do whatever it takes to become the strongest. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!